The Daily Graphic, government to stop issuing prospecting licenses to small-scale miners. Ghana risks losing EU timber export license. Parliament yet to ratify protocols. Hey, this matter. New rules set for Okada riders. Ministry's website's content updated. Very true. I went to the Ministry of Agric website. I'm looking for the latest Ghana Agric facts and figures. I didn't find it. I went to the Ministry of Health website. I'm looking for the latest Ghana Health facts and figures. I didn't find it. Even their budgets are not there.
Can you imagine?
And these ministries have communications and PR offices that are supposed to be an IT department that are supposed to be managing their websites. I think if you don't want to manage it, shut it down.
It's not even about shutting it down. It's a challenge when it comes to most, and I choose my words carefully, most of the government agencies, institutions, and even ministries that get into their website for information. It's terrible.
Yeah,
You
but
can
this is
get
the point.
up-to-date
Yeah, but you see,
data
George,
at the website.
this is the point. I just made this point before we can get into other stories. So if I'm outside this country and I need information about your country, how do I get it? Am I going to call Kujako Toboating or call you George Riafi? When I do not know anybody in Ghana, maybe I want to invest in Ghana. And all I need is that basic information.
Yep.
Which should be easily accessible on the internet.
Sometimes it's not. I don't know whether it's about just loading that data, because you have a situation where even a minister has held a press conference or something, giving data, and you want to sometimes get the text because you want to compare or something. You go to the website, that information is.
We
not
just
there.
don't like accountability in this country.
You know.
Our fear is that, you see, if we are transparent, people will demand accountability.
Yeah.
So what we do is that, and I mean, the conversation has always been that once there's information, once there's openness, there's transparency, people may ask a question or two. So we would not give you the chance to ask questions. And so we'll deny you access to information. And that's what we do in this country. But it actually hurts our growth and development. Anyway, let's get into other
Our
stuff.
ministry should do better, including publishing their annual reports on their website for us to see how well they are doing with the budget we allocate to them. Now, on the back page of the Daily Graphic, 40-bed facility to boost cancer care treatment. And this is a move which is being led by a private sector cancer foundation. I'll tell you more about that. Now, if you go to the business analyst, BOG engages Guta on macroeconomic stability and growth. Lands Minister tax PMMC to ensure mining sector operates effectively, and strategically repositioning Sankofa Gold Limited is crucial. This is MD. There's also a story about Ridge Hospital I've seen on a couple of newspapers. This story suggests that Yoko is investigating some issues at the Ridge Hospital.
Let's do the Economy Times and lead story. BOG data projects strong economic growth in 2025, and it says that early data from the 2025 of the Bank of Ghana suggests that surprisingly strong economic growth Ghana achieved in 2024 will be continued for this year. Data released at the latest Monetary Policy Committee briefing at the end of March reveals that for the first 2 months of this year, it recorded an increase in economic activities and improved sentiments for both consumers and businesses. And for a lot of people, we are all hoping that this is sustained going forward. Also, exporters react to the 10% UF tariff on Ghanaian export amidst ambassadors' insurance. So first you had the Ministry of Trade agribusiness statement trying to give an indication that, because most of these exports to the US market came under AGOA, you are kind of, immune. Then there was a meeting with the ministers yesterday. Then he emerged from the meeting that no, agro products are actually affected. So those who thought that we had some immunity or some relief for these exporters, the answer is no. And that 10% is actually affecting these goods. Some are trying to downplay it. Some are also saying that, listen, it is going to affect us in terms of the earnings that we are getting, the forex, and also the bit about import inflation as well. And let's see what they can do as they try to meet and come up with strategies to actually tame the expected impact as well. Also, if you are following the IMF program, there are some who have suggested that we could end up getting some waivers to help us pass this fourth review that is currently ongoing. There are some concerns about whether we've met all the targets and whether we'll have a staff level agreement being reached by the team that is in town before or by when they end their meeting in Ghana. So these are some of the lead stories in the Economy Times.
I'll run through some stories in the Daily Graphic. Ghana risks losing EU timber export license. The story says if by June 15 we have not conformed to the Forest Law Enforcement Governance and Trade License requirement, Ghana cannot export timber to EU markets. The story is by Timothy Nyamgbe. Now, the government also is planning to stop issuing prospecting licenses to small-scale miners. The story on page 20 of the Daily Graphic says the government has initiated moves to stop issuing prospecting licenses for small-scale mining as part of measures to overhaul the mining sector. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakufibua, said rather than issuing prospecting licenses to prospective miners, which was open to abuse, the Ghana Geological Survey Authority would be resourced to undertake geological investigation for gold-rich lands, which would form the basis of the issuance of real licenses. Now, there is also the big story of Okadas and the new rules. Persons willing to operate a commercial motorcycle or tricycle, popularly known as Okada, can only do so if they belong to a recognized tricycle transport union or employed by a licensed commercial motorcycle company. This provision is to prohibit operations without belonging to a recognized union and the need for riders to be at least 25 years of age is part of a new legislative instrument being drafted to amend the existing one, the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 Legislative Instrument 2180. Earlier, George was telling me that he still doesn't want Okadas to be commercialized in this country.
I mean, maybe some partial, because sometimes it's crazy in the capital. I mean, the heat of traffic, and how some of them think that they are superhumans, no regard for traffic regulations and all the rest. And I don't know. That's just a personal view.
I think motorbikes, tricycles form part of a multimodal transport system. They are needed in different places, even within the Greater Accra region. You go beyond Adenta and there are certain places at some points you will not get a vehicle to move. You'd have to resort to an Okada to a certain point. Then maybe you can pick a taxi or a chocho. If you move beyond Accra, I think Okadas and tricycles have been, or motorbikes and tricycles have been a key economic enhancer. Look, almost every activity beyond the regional capitals, and even within the regional capitals, transport of goods, transport of people, so we need to regulate the space.
But in certain areas,
put in place the safety checks.
Yeah, in certain areas. Now you see what is called the Piagria or whatever they call. Forgive me if I'm struggling. And sometimes
No, George. Again, it's our discipline that is the problem. Because look, where I live at Abokobi, and there's a lot of Pragia. You see them, a lot of Pragia around that.
To the market, the women.
And it's like they have their own set of rules.
Yes.
So they don't want to adhere to any traffic regulation.
Yes.
And the motor riders here do same.
They are even the worst corporate.
But if I go to Tamale and at the traffic light, the motor rider observes traffic. He would observe everything in Accra. Totally different. I can understand where Kojo's coming from because I go to Japan regularly, and the taxis I've seen in Japan are actually taxis that were registered in 2000 or 1999. You're seeing numbers like V, you're seeing R, you're seeing Q, and all of that. But you see a lot of motorbikes. Okada business is booming in that part of the country. So if we want to regularize it, monitor it, and make sure the right things are done, I don't have a problem. But my challenge is that, you see, we would start a process, leave it in between, and the people will still practice their own set of rules and become a nuisance. That's what I don't want us to do.
That's why we are here, Winston.
Yeah.
We are putting together a new LI. That's why we are here. We need to ensure that we push for the right things to be done, because 80% of your population, a little over 80% of your population, depends on public transport. Even your regular trotros are not fit for purpose. You have not invested in proper mass transportation. Opportunities for contra flow have not been exploited. So people spend 2, 3, 4. Look, there's this guy I know who lives in Dodowa, works at Accra Central. He wakes up at 3 a.m. every day just to get to work on time, leaves the office at 5, gets to the house at 9 p.m. Dodowa to Accra Central is just about 40-50 kilometers. If I'm driving at a normal 60-kilometer speed, I should be there in an hour. So if you've not invested in the infrastructure and the systems to introduce convenience into the lives of your people, use smart regulation, use what exists, explore all the opportunities in the multimodal system, Okadas, bicycles, even people walking, buses, the sky train that we didn't do, the trains that we are not.
But could you, I mean, the problem now has to do with the commercial bit.
Yeah.
I believe that there already existing driving traffic regulations when it comes to the use of motorbikes.
And we are changing them.
So let's all
Okay,
of us.
let's continue. But let me